Coming alone. After that, Kurapika then tells her to give the phone to Nobunaga, telling Nobunaga that all of the members have to return.
Dad promised, but now they have to move again. All because of his job. But maybe Dad will get to keep his promise.
Anna.
Turn back to the hideout, and if even one member is missing, he'll kill Kurolo. Moving forward, Pakunoda meets up with Kurapika. Kurapika then sets up judgment chains on both Kurolo and Pakunoda, setting up 2 conditions for each of them. Kurolo's condition being he can't use Nen and he can't contact any of the troop members, and Pakunoda's being she must bring Gon and Killua unharmed before midnight, and she cannot speak a single word about Kurapika. With that being said, Pakunoda leaves and returns with Gon and Killua. As they are walking towards the airship, Hisoka appears. Hisoka then asks to get on board, threatening Gon and Killua's life because he intends on fighting Kurolo. Once the hostage exchange took place, Gon, Killua, and Kurapika leave immediately after, leaving Hisoka and Kurolo to settle their battle. Since Hisoka isn't a troop member, Kurolo is able to talk to him. Kurolo then tells Hisoka he's unable to use his Nen because of the judgment chain placed on his heart, which disappoints Hisoka. Hisoka then leaves afterwards, unwilling to fight Kurolo because of the handicap he was at. Meanwhile, Pakunoda returns back to the troops' hideout and uses her memory bomb on 6 members, giving them her memories and feelings. Shortly after, Kurapika's judgment chain activates, dropping her to the ground in a snap of a finger. Cue the music! Alright, that's enough! They're worthy to return back to the real world. Bisky recruits Hisoka to the Gon is rewarded with the Patch Ashore card, and shortly after Hisoka departs. Moving forward, as Gon and his group are walking, Genthru uses a contact card to communicate with them, and threatens their lives for the Patch Ashore card, adding that he has killed Gon's former teammates from the squad before this. Angered by this, Gon challenges Genthru on the spot, but is quickly stopped, ending the conversation with him there. They then come to the conclusion, if they want to beat the game, they have no other choice but to fight Genthru and the 2 other people in the squad. With Genthru, assuming Suzugeta has the Patch Ashore card, Suzugeta and his group agree to hold off Genthru for 3 weeks, to allow Gon and Killua to recover from their injuries from the dodgeball match, and to create a plan to defeat Genthru. In return, Suzugeta will be given the card Lucky Alexandrite. Shortly after negotiating, Suzugeta and his squad head out to distract Genthru, while Gon undergoes training with Bisky, and Killua waits for his hands to heal. Moving forward roughly 3 weeks, Genthru and his scrubby teammates arrive at Gon, Killua, and Bisky's location. As a part of their plan, they split up, baiting Genthru, Sub, and Bara to split up too. Killua takes on Sub, Bisky takes on Bara, and Gon takes on the almighty Genthru. Starting with Bisky, she transforms into her Hulk form and pounds Bara to the ground. Next, we got Killua trying out his new yo-yo technique against Sub, and it looks like Killua outplays him, bashing that 50-kilogram yo-yo into his head. And so, this now leaves Gon to settle his fight with Genthru. They then tie up Genthru, Sub, and Bara, and brings them all to one location. They then demand that they give up their cards that they stole from other Greed Island players. After collecting those stolen cards, Gon now has possession of 99 out of the 100 restricted cards. With that being said, card number 0 is the last card that Gon needs. Shortly after, an announcement notifies all Greed Island players that there will be an event that will take place in honor of a player collecting 99 restricted cards, also telling them the winner will be rewarded with the number 0 card. It's a quiz contest, and with that being said, Gon scores the highest, acquiring the final card he needed. As a reward for beating the game, Gon is able able to take 3 restricted cards from Greed Island for use in the real world, so Gon gathers up with Killua and Bisky, deciding that each of them chooses one card. Bisky chooses the blue planet, Gon chooses the Paladin's necklace, and Killua chooses an accompany card disguised as a Patch of Shore restricted card, using a transform card. Gon uses his Paladin's necklace to revert Killua's card back to the accompany. This is when Gon recalls being the first one in Greed Island and seeing the name Nig and his recently encountered players. Putting this as an anagram, it spells out Jing. Gon then suspects that his father brought him to Greed Island when he was just a baby. So with that being said, Gon and Killua say their farewells to Bisky and uses the accompany card to transport themselves to the individual under the name Nig.
You can try.
On their arrival, they find out it's not Jing, but Jing's former student Kite. They then experience and learn about a dangerous species known as chimera ants, which brings up the question on what type of hunter Kite is. Kite replies to Gon's question, telling him that he's a biological surveyor, and that he's currently investigating the chimera ants. Shortly after, Kite's co-workers arrive, and they examine a queen ant's claw that they recently discovered. Kite notices that it's unusually large, which worries him. Moving forward, they head out to do more research, and after a while they get a lead, and so Kite, Gon, and Killua head to NGL, in hopes of finding the chimera ant's nest. Meanwhile, the queen chimera ant has consumed her first human, and now craves them. Through the process of phagogenesis, pause the video for information on that, she produces a chimera ant naming him Colt. He's the first ant able to communicate with speech and have a human-like personality. Through the consumption of more humans, she creates more chimera ants like Colt, with various personalities. After producing enough soldiers, the queen now aims to give birth to her royal guard and the king.
Run, bitch, her!
Well, that's what happens when you skip leg day. Moving forward, as they are navigating through NGL, they encounter a chimera ant named Ramit. As a way to see if Gon and Killua are qualified for the mission, Kite tells them to take him on. So Gon and Killua hits Ramit up with an extra juicy combo, launching Ramit into the air. And that's when Colt swoops in out of nowhere and takes Ramit back to their nest. After being exposed to Gon and Killua's Hatsu, Ramit awakens his Nen. From observing Ramit's fight with Gon and Killua, Colt concludes that Ramit got his power from getting hit by a Nen enhanced hit. So that's when Colt tells Ramit to hit him, while his Nen is rapidly flowing. Moving forward, one out of the 3 royal guard Pito is born, and Colt has awakened his Nen. As Pito is walking, it senses Poco hiding underneath bones, and so they kill him, taking his body for information on Nen. After reading a book on the human brain, Pito then takes 2 antennae and injects them into a certain region of Poco's brain, making him tell Pito everything he knows about Nen. Pito then confirms that the impact from a Nen attack can awaken an individual's Nen, and so the chimera ant gather up to go through the awakening process. After fighting through waves of chimera ants, Kite remembers that he had Jing's hunter license and gives it to Gon to return it back to him when he finds him. As they are heading towards the nest, Pito senses their presence nearby, simultaneously as Kite senses Pito's immense aura. Kite then tells Gon and Killua to run, but before they knew it, Pito then gives off an evil aura directed at Gon and Killua. This is when Gon tries to go into Super Saiyan 3, but is quickly stopped. Killua then takes Gon and dips, leaving NGL. Killua then calls Kite's co-workers for pickup, and that's when they pull up with reinforcements: Netero, Nove, and Morel. Before entering NGL, Netero tells Killua he sent 2 assassins to the nearest village, adding that they must defeat those assassins in order to continue fighting in NGL, giving them 2 tokens. The goal is to take possession of the assassins' tokens to confirm the victory, but if they lose theirs, they won't be allowed to enter NGL. Moving forward, Killua arrives in the village and checks into a hotel. Shortly after, Gon awakes and thanks Killua for stopping him, but Killua says not to thank him because
Trick or treat. What do you got? Yawn. Pleasure doing business with you.
he let Kite die. Gon then tells Killua that Kite is alive, giving him hope. But little did they know. Cue the music! And we're done. As Gon and Killua are walking around the village, they meet Palm, who invites them to have some tea. While they are having tea, she says that she's a student of Nove. Killua then asks her for the condition that Netero told her, and she responds with, they have to defeat both the Morel students, Knuckle and Shoot, adding that only one pair will be able to enter NGL, and there's a 1-month deadline. Moving forward, Gon and Killua heads to Palm's place, and there stood Bisky, who Palm invited to train them. Gon and Killua then undergo training to maintain their Ren. They must hold their Ren for 3 consecutive hours in order to move on to the next step. After failing and exhausting themselves, Bisky instructs them to fight Knuckle, telling them that if it seems like they're gonna lose, retreat and try again the next day. They then repeat the cycle with Ren training and sparring with Knuckle for a series of weeks. Throughout this time, Knuckle becomes friends with them, and Gon comes up with a name for his Nen ability, which is Jajunkin. Since Killua didn't fight much throughout the last couple of weeks, Bisky challenges him to a fight, going into her Hulk form. And as a result, Throughout this fight, she points out Killua's weaknesses. The first one being that he gives up too easily, and the second being he underestimates himself. Moving forward, Bisky heads out, and Gon and Killua are settling their fights with Knuckle and Shoot for the tokens. Gon goes up against Knuckle, and Killua goes up against Shoot. In Gon's fight, Knuckle doesn't hold back and uses his Nen ability Bankruptcy Chapter 7 on Gon. Pause the video for the explanation because you got me fucked up if you think I'm explaining all this. And in Killua's fight, Killua is running away from battle because of Illumi's mind control. As a result, both Gon and Killua take L's, losing their tokens. On top of that, Gon loses the ability to use his Nen for 30 days because of the effect of Knuckle's ability. They then arrive at NGL's entrance with Knuckle and Shoot to say their goodbyes. But before they head inside, Gon makes Knuckle promise to save Kite, and so Knuckle is like, I got you! Moving forward, the two other Royal Guard, Poof and Yuppie, are born, and upon consuming hundreds of humans, the king is born, putting the queen in critical condition. Since the queen is dying, Colt flies over to Morel and Nove, surrendering, asking them to help the queen, also telling them the king has been born. They believe Colt and brings them to their boss, Netero. Netero then orders them to group up with Shoot and Knuckle and to head to the nest with Colt leading the way. When they arrive at the nest, they attempt to save the queen, but cue the music. This bitch doesn't deserve it. Before she died, she made her last request being for someone to tell the king his name, Miriam. Colt then finds something moving in the queen's stomach, and it turns out to be a baby chimera ant, on which he promises to protect. Moving forward, the king is in search of that delicacy he had while he was in the queen's stomach, known as Nen users. The king as well as his royal guard then arrive in the Republic of East Gartau. There they head inside of a palace, killing and devouring every guard that crossed their path, making the king hit a nut because of all them Nen users. They then meet up with the supreme leader of this land, Kim Jong-un, and takes him out. Moving forward, Gon and Killua return to Palm, and finds her furious because she couldn't go to NGL. Gon then asks her how he can make it up to her, and she says to go on a date with her. Gon then agrees, calming Palm down. Moving forward a bit, Gon gets a call from Knuckle, telling him that he has found Kite, but it looks like he's being controlled by the enemy. Gon is then like, all we need to do is find a way to get him back to normal, and we all good. Moving forward once again, Gon goes on his date with Palm, and so Killua decides to follow and watch over him. While Killua is monitoring Gon, he senses an aura nearby and investigates. Soon after, he finds Ramit, and that's when Illumi's mind control starts telling him to run. Killua then jabs his hand into his head, removing the needle that Illumi placed to control Killua. After that, the fight was just child's play for Killua. Killua then returns back to Gon and finds Palm on her crazy shit again, so Killua grabs Gon and dips. Moving forward, Nove, Shoot, Morel, and Knuckle brings Gon to the location where Kite is being kept. There, Gon sees Kite looking all fucked up. But after seeing Kite like this, Gon makes a vow to bring him back to normal. With one more day left until Gon is able to use Nen again, Morel and the others agree to bring Gon and Killua to the Republic of East Gartau. Shortly after their arrival, Pito uses its Nen ability to control the leader of East Gartau, inviting the civilians of this area to the palace, where a quote-unquote screening will take place in 10 days. They are aware of the king's intentions, and shortly after, they get a text from Netero with the plan. They will have to divide into 3 pairs to bait the 3 royal guard away from the king. With everything decided, Gon and Killua are assigned Pito, Knuckle and Shoot are assigned Yuppie, Nova and Morel are assigned Poof, and Netero is assigned the king. Shortly after getting everything straight, Knuckle's Nen ability wears off, and so Gon is now able to use Nen again. Moving forward, 6 Phantom Shoot members head over to Meteor City, the homeland of most of the troop. There they find out chimera ants have invaded it, and so as a result,
Pow! 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 Pow!
and it looks like they cleared out the chimera ants. After doing some planning to stop the selection, Gon and Killua separate, and apparently a chimera ant follows Gon. After a while, Gon notices the chimera ant following him and questions him. He then reveals his name is Melorion and that he's looking to partner up with Gon. Without hesitation, Gon believes him and accepts his partnership. Melorion then shows Gon his Nen abilities, Perfect Plan and God's Accomplice. Perfect Plan allows him to go invisible by holding his breath, and God's Accomplice is pretty much the same thing but can also turn someone else invisible through contact. Shortly after displaying his abilities, he then explains to Gon the reason he partnered up with him, with his objective being to get revenge on the king. Meanwhile, Killua is being followed and tracked by a chimera ant named Flutter. While Flutter is following him, he gives coordinates to another chimera ant with telepathy. Using these coordinates, he snipes Killua with flawless accuracy. After getting smacked by flea bullets a good couple of times, Killua tracks the sniper and confronts him. The sniper then leads Killua into a trap, but Killua manages to save himself from the fall. And there it's revealed that the chimera ant is an octopus looking thing named Ikugo, who uses dead bodies as hosts. After meeting Ikugo, Killua thinks he's a pretty cool guy, and in different circumstances he would have befriended him. This is when a chimera ant sneaks up behind Killua and attaches a pin to him. Shortly after, Nen darts start to hit him. After enduring multiple darts, Killua sees through the Nen ability and fakes his death. That's when the Orthro siblings come up from the water and is like, "Hey, we got him!" Shortly after taking them out, Killua collapses from blood loss. Ikugo then picks him up and heads to the nearest clinic to get him patched up. Moving forward, the king is now playing board games against champions to pass time until the selection. He manages to beat the champions at Shogi and Go, and gets bored of those games quite quickly. So I guess you can say the king got bored games. I really need to end myself after that. So the next game the king plays is Gungi, going up against the champion Komugi. After taking a series of L's, the king gets upset, but at the same time he's enjoying himself. Moving forward, Nove takes out Flutter and brings him back to his Nen dimension. After that, Nove heads over to the palace and creates portals in various locations to serve as entrances when they start their operation. As he makes his way to the central stairway, he retreats due to fear after encountering Pito's aura. Shortly after, Palm enters in her own way. As she's sneaking around the palace looking for the king to use her Nen ability, she gets discovered. Moving forward, the king is still taking massive L's against Komugi, causing him to obsess over his matches. With that being said, Poof begins holding a grudge against her. Moving forward a bit more, Komugi gets attacked by a hawk, and the king comes in and saves her, afterwards showing concern for her. Upon doing this, the king starts questioning his morals, because he just saved a human. Moving forward once again, Ikugo and Malorion join the Chimera Ant extermination team, and they all gather up in Nove's dimension minutes before the selection. On the start of the selection, all citizens in the area begin to move towards the palace. When they arrive at the palace, Poof uses his Nen ability to hypnotize them to follow his commands to stay put. And so the time has come to start their operation to stop the selection, using Nove's portal to enter the palace. Just as they start their operation, Zeno and Netero drops by the palace, and Zeno uses his dragon dive technique, making it rain hella arrows. As the extermination team arrive at the central stairway, there stood Yuppie, who ends up destroying the stairway, dividing the team. With the Nen arrows devastating the palace, Komugi ends up getting hit, which brings the king to feel that feeling when you lose all your money gambling. Shortly after, Zeno and Netero arrive, and both stood there out of respect. The king then orders Pito to heal Komugi, and shortly after that, he tells Netero they can fight somewhere else. On Netero's way out, he sees Gon, and points to the direction where Pito is. After that, Zeno creates an End Dragon for Netero and the king, to transport them to a wasteland where they can fight. Meanwhile, Knuckles, Shrew, and Milorion are all going up against Yuppie. With Knuckle invisible because of Milorion's ability, he manages to land a hit on Yuppie, activating his Nen ability. After fighting for a bit, Shrew reaches his limit, and so Knuckle decides to take on Yuppie, baiting him away from Shrew. Moving forward, Ikugo makes his way to the underground using an elevator, in search of Palm, giving general information on where she should be. After searching for a good while, he finds out that she's dead through a message she wrote with Nen. As Ikugo makes his way back to the elevator, he encounters a Chimera Ant named Bloster, who quickly discovers that he's not Flutter. After blasting Flutter's body, Bloster believes that Ikugo is dead and heads to the elevator. With Bloster unable to use the elevator because he needs a passcode, Ikugo moves to the control room and activates shutters, trapping Bloster, following up with activating the sleeping gas in the elevator. Ikugo then comes in with an armored truck and crashes near the elevator. Shortly after, the sleeping gas hits Bloster, and so Ikugo goes in for the finishing blow, but can't bring himself to pull the trigger, and so he runs back to the control room, ashamed of himself. Moving forward, Gon and Killua arrive in the room where Pito is healing Komugi. Gon's blood boils the split second their eyes meet, and demands to fight now. Killua wonder why Pito isn't preparing for battle, but after putting pieces together, he figures out the girl laying on the ground is someone precious to the king, and that she's getting healed. Pito then pleads Gon to wait for it to heal Komugi, breaking its arm to show it's serious. After hearing this, Gon gets enraged and starts charging his Jajunkin. Killua stops Gon by explaining to him that if he kills Pito, they'll never get Kite back. Gon then gives Pito 1 hour to heal Komugi, and makes Pito promise to come with him to heal Kite afterwards. And so Gon sits and waits. Meanwhile,
Beep boom, beep boom.
Geronimo! Moving forward, Killua sneaks out of the room using Milorion's invisibility. Right before Knuckle is about to get finished off, Killua comes in clutch with his Thunderbolt, allowing Knuckle to flee. Killua then activates his Godspeed and goes pop, 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 pop. After running out of his Godspeed, Killua then retreats with Milorion's assistance. Moving forward, Morel meets up with Poof and intends to fight him, trapping him in his smoky jail. Since he couldn't escape, Poof wraps himself in a cocoon for a long ass time. After losing his patience, Morel strikes at the cocoon and undoes his smoky jail. That's when Poof disperses into many clones, and as an attempt to take them out, Morel creates smoke troopers, but ends up failing. And so Poof takes Morel's pipe, dropping the pipe into a body of water a good distance away from him. Yuppie then appears at Morel's location, and shortly after, Knuckle arrives. Using the troopers Morel created before getting his weapon confiscated, he transforms them into Knuckle clones and assists Knuckle in his fight. During the fight, Knuckle goes and hides, and Morel's troopers get slaughtered. With that being said, Yuppie goes in to kill Morel, but fails because Milorion comes in clutch with his ability. Yuppie managed to cut Morel before he went invisible, and so he follows the blood trail. This is when Knuckle returns and tells Yuppie to fight him and to let them escape. Yuppie says no to that, but proposes if Knuckle takes off his Nen ability, they'll have a deal. With Knuckle's Nen ability nearly completed, he undoes it due to tension, and so Yuppie leaves them alone. Shortly after, Nova appears and takes Morel to his dimension for healing. Moving forward, Yuppie and Poof are heading towards the king. Meanwhile, Netero and the king have arrived at their destination. Netero tells the king that they can fight here without any restraints, but the king then says, nah bruh, let's just talk things over. So Netero throws the first attack, which doesn't even leave a scratch on the king. After that, the king then sits back down, still looking to talk. Opposed to that, Netero claps them cheeks, which really didn't affect the king. The king then sits back down and says the only way he's gonna deal with him is to talk things through. That's when Netero says he'll tell the king his given name if he forces him to admit defeat. Eager to know his name, the king gets up and prepares for battle. Ba 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 ba. Slightly damaged by Netero's attacks, the king managed to detach 2 of Netero's limbs. Seeing Netero sitting defenselessly on the ground, the king then asks for his name. Netero then tells the king his name and detonates the bomb implanted within his heart, catching the king in its radius.
Kaboom!
Moving forward, Palm is reborn as a Chimera ant. Killua encounters Palm, and there she asks Killua where Gon is. Suspecting that she's an enemy now, he doesn't give her an answer, and so she goes berserk. After a bit, Killua apologizes for assuming that she was an enemy, and explains Gon's situation, eventually breaking down. After witnessing Killua's distress, Palm reverts back to her normal state, thanking Killua for saving her from the Chimera ant's control. Moving forward, a Chimera ant named Welfin enters the control room where Ikugo is. Viewed as a threat, Ikugo shoots him. After some conflict, they end up talking things out, and as an outcome, Ikugo was told by Welfin that Palm has been captured and placed in a cocoon, also giving him the details on the room she was placed in. And so Ikugo leaves the underground, and by chance, he meets up with Killua and Palm. Shortly after, they group up with Knuckle and Melorion, and prepares themselves for the next battle. Moving forward, Gon says, "Time's up, bitch!" And so they head out, leaving Komugi with Killua and Knuckle as a hostage. Meanwhile, Yuppie and Poof arrive at the bomb site, and there they find the king looking like a burnt gingerbread cookie. They both then give their energy to the king, which revives him. After being revived, the king ended up losing his memory, but soon after he recalls the palace, believing that it has the answers he's seeking. With the king having lost his memories, Poof sends clones over to the palace to erase any trace of Komugi. As the king is heading towards the palace, he starts getting suspicious with Poof's behavior, and believes he's hiding something. Moving forward, Poof's clone finds Komugi, but she's being defended by Killua. Poof then attempts to kill her, but can't due to Killua's powerful defense. Soon after, the king arrives at the palace, and so Poof's clone retreats to hide the Gungi game board and pieces laying around the floor, to prevent any chance of the king being reminded of Komugi. Meanwhile, Gon and Pito arrive at the location where Kite is being kept, and this is where Pito reveals the truth to Gon.
彼はもう死んでいる。
With Gon internally destroyed, Pito heals its broken arm, preparing to fight. That's when Gon's despair reaches its peak and transforms into Big Daddy Gon. Gon then takes Pito outside to settle their fight, and that's when Pito tries to get a cheap shot in, but Gon evades the attack and kicks that bitch up to heaven. But that bitch gets rejected, and so Pito falls back down. As Pito is falling, Gon uses his one-for-all quirk, charging that extra juicy John Can Go! Launching Pito to China. Shortly after, Killua arrives and sees Gon making some mashed potatoes. Even though Pito's already dead, Pito's will possesses its body and attacks Gon, severing his arm. Grabbing his dismantled arm, he uses that shit like a goddamn spear, smashing Pito into the ground. After that, Gon uses one last Jajunkin. Shortly after, Poof appears telling the king that Welfin has deep ties with his secret. The king then grows impatient, and so he says he's hungry, giving Welfin the death stare. With Welfin going through a panic, he then says, After hearing this, the king starts remembering everything. Moving forward, Poof dies, and the king heads to the underground in search of Komugi. There he finds Palm, and after a compromise, the king reunites with Komugi. The king and Komugi then have their final match before they pass away, after being exposed to the poisonous gas of the poor man's rose bomb that Netero set off. Although Komugi wasn't directly there, it's contagious through respiration. So yeah, that's how Yuppie and Poof died also. Cue the music! And an election for a new chairman for the Hunter Association is taking place due to Netero's death. While in the hospital, Morel calls Colt to check up on the Chimera Ant child. The Chimera Ant is revealed to be the reincarnation of Kite. Meanwhile, with Gon in the condition he's in right now, Killua vows to save Gon and heads back home to the Zodiac family. There he seeks his sibling Alika. And for the sake of this video and for the sake of my well-being, I'm gonna refer to Alika as a female. If you say otherwise, then get the fuck out! Alika has the power to grant any wish if a person complies with a series of requests. Depending on the scale of the wish, the intensity of the request will correlate with it. If someone fails to complete 4 of Alika's requests in a row, it will result in death. With that being said, Alika has been locked behind heavy security due to the dangers of her power. Killua goes to his father Silva asking to see Alika. After some convincing, Killua is allowed to see her. Killua then tries to leave her, asking his father to open the door. He refuses to do so, and so Killua wishes to kill his mother if he doesn't leave the mountain within 30 minutes. With that being said, this forced his father to submit and allows Killua to leave with Alika. Through his actions, Killua is now placed on alert level 4, meaning that he'll be escorted by butlers, and if he violates any of the rules set, he'll be forced back home. The rules being he can't tell anyone about Alika's power, and he has to stay 1 meter close to her at all times. Meanwhile, Illumi tells Hisoka about the dangers of Alika's power, telling him that if Killua makes this wish to heal Gon, they both can potentially die. Illumi then instructs that they must kill Alika. With that being said, as Killua, Alika, and the butlers are heading to the city Gon is in, they are attacked by Illumi. The butler then says that they need to return back to the house, but Killua was opposed posted that and dips. Shortly after, Hisoka arrives, and so Goto takes on Hisoka, allowing the other butlers to go after Killua.
Eat my Chuck E. Cheese tokens, bitch!
As Killua is hustling, he encounters Needleman, aka people controlled by Illumi. Shortly after, Illumi arrives, following the butlers. After explaining Alika's power, that there isn't a risk of someone dying if you wish to heal someone, Illumi has no reason to kill her and leaves, stating that Killua is still hiding something from him, and he won't let Alika go until he tells him how he's able to wish 2 times in a row. Moving forward, they arrive at Gon's hospital bed and uses Alika's power to heal him back to health. Gon then heads over to the Hunter Association headquarters, where the election for chairman is being held, and there he meets his father Jing. Gon then apologizes to Jing for what happened to Kite, and as a response, Jing says he shouldn't be the one he should be apologizing to, and that he should be apologizing to Kite. He then follows up with telling Gon the rule to apologizing, which is to promise to do things differently next time. After that, Gon heads out, but before leaving, he asks if shortly after, Jing tells Gon he'll see him later. And as a result for the election, Cheadle is elected as the new chairman. Who the fuck cares? Moving forward, Gon meets up with Kite and apologizes. Kite then says he's talking for a bit. Kite then tells Gon to see Jing again. So Gon heads back to the top of the world tree.
Do I sell my keys?
Can you even do that anymore?
Well, old keys you can. So I have like a CS20 key that is.
Well, I'd say yeah.
Don't they have like a new
Arcanas.
Yeah, that.
So saying yes.
Yeah.
Because they're getting close to like 100% return.
Then definitely do it for sure. Or else pretty soon you're gonna be trying to like sell something that has no worth.
Yeah, it's true.
grab you there.